Hey, will you build me a custom hand-built blower belt guard? Is this a joke? Building a blower belt guard is not a simple task. There's many steps. You have to figure out how to make it work, how to make it fit on the front of the engine and bolt and be secure. The first step my son will take is build a wooden buck or hammer form that we'll use to bend a 4-inch wide piece of aluminum around to form what will become the belt guard. We need the wooden buck so that we get a nice even curve. You would think that bending aluminum would be easy. We actually did a trial and failed. We weren't sure that we had the process down when we did the final bend. A mounting plate needs to be made that will be strong enough to support the belt guard, and it has to bolt to the front of the blower. The front of the blower doesn't have a straight line on it, so this is not an easy task. A structure has to be made to bridge the gap between the mounting plate on the front of the blower and the belt guard, and it has to be strong enough to support the belt guard. And of course, all these pieces have to be welded together and then polished. So let's get started by watching my son build the buck that will be used to bend the aluminum for the belt guard.
Okay. That doesn't fit. Oh, there's a screw through there. Oh, it should be. That's pretty good.
What comes next is the first attempt to bend aluminum in the buck.
Jeez.
Get a dirty tip.
You better not videotape that.
I did.
What do you think?
So what are you doing?
I don't know.
That's not a good answer.
I got no idea what's gonna happen. Probably nothing. I anticipate it'll bounce right back.
I don't think so.
We need a different tip for that. The rosebud's not appropriate.
It's too big.
So it bounced it. Just about where it was.
Let's put that project aside and think about it. Time to start making the mounting plate.
The blower side of the belt cover. If you look at the blower, the way this bracket sits, this is for another setup. The way it sits, these two bolts are level. These are the top two bolts. And we're going to make a guard that comes over and does this next hole. So I'll start, I guess, just by using the best of this steel for a template. I tried cardboard. I don't care for it. It's not very accurate. So I'll just draw a straight line. And I can lay these two top holes over the top. Mark. And then I gotta know this distance. Two and 3/4, I guess. I'll mark it over here. And that should be the layout of the blower belt, the blower bolts, one bolt over. And then I can make my new template kind of be this shape. I used the sheet metal template I've been making. This is the first attempt. I was talking about how all these were straight in line, and it turns out they're not. So thanks to the shrinker stretcher, I curved it in. So they all lined up beautiful after that, but I wasn't happy with it as a template, so I made another one that was correct. So this has been bolted on the blower, and I'm satisfied with all the holes and all the fitment. This is the notch for the blower restraint strap. Comes through here. So I use this to put down on the aluminum there. And with the transfer punch, I marked all the holes, and I plan to have a radius curve here. So again, I use the transfer punch to space it. So I went and I drilled 1/8" holes. Next I'll move up to this size. And once they're all drilled, I'll be satisfied to cut it out. And we'll go from there.
Okay, how thick is that plate?
That's 1/2 inch.
Oh,
So it was a little bit over 1/2 inch. It was 0.550. Yeah, so a little bit over 1/2 inch. It's 6061 aluminum.
I don't understand how you get the curve all the way down in there.
I don't know. If you watch when I'm doing it, the blade is actually bending. You know, so it's like an allowable amount. So I'd hate to make this cut. That's gonna be a thing. I was considering putting the jigsaw around there.
Yeah, it'd be pretty thin by now, I would think.
Yeah, flash is hot.
New blade.
Not bad.
I did a still picture of it.
A little bit more refined shape. I've been going to work with the file. So hand file's been real good at getting it where I want it. It's not quite filed yet, but I couldn't resist coming and looking. So far so good. If you can see, it's real tight there, but I'm not done filing like I said, so we should just squeak by. Other than that, I'm very happy. I think it looks cool. So I got this all hand filed. Every surface now I'm very happy with. I marked both sides with the metal template so I could file from both faces. And you can see it came out real nice and square. And this is a nice surface to sand too. This won't take much to sand that nice so I can polish it. So I knocked the burr off, and now I'm going to go around with just a nice fresh Sharpie, kind of the distance of a Sharpie line, kind of like that, and both edges. You know, I'll do it on this face too, to mark out for the chamfer, and then I'll chamfer to meet this countersink I've already done. I'll get a nice uniform chamfer the whole way around. Got it all filed down. Everything looks nice, every edge beveled. Very happy with that. It's up on the blower there. Very happy with all the gaps. I think it looks good, and it's ready to go on the next step of sanding. Okay, we got this thing all sanded up. I finished this in 600 wet. So all the edges are 600. The bevels are 600, and the flat's all nice. So I'm gonna start buffing. So I guess just a little bit, it's coming good. I guess that's what all the prep work's for. So, take a while longer, keep going.
Oh man, that came out nice, huh?
For just a few seconds.
Yeah.
That's why I sanded
That came out nice. Now that we have a mounting point, the belt guard itself can be started.
I decided to start sanding this while it was flat. So I just took some wet sandpaper 120, sanded it out to get all these, I'm not saying it again.
I can cut it up.
Sanding it now so that I can take it, I guess, to a polish. In this flat state, it'll be much easier than once it's formed. Easier to do it now, and I'm able to pick a side. I'm kind of sanding it quick so I can pick which side's best, which if I bent it, I wouldn't be able to make that choice afterwards. So I think this side's best. It's sanded out much easier than the other side. So I'll pay more attention to this side, take it with some more higher grits of paper, buff it, protect it, and then we made this buck. Like this far around? What are you talking?
No, it doesn't have to go that far. It should follow the curvature of the belt.
So that goes way out. You want it to come down more. Buck, half an inch larger than the largest pulley, top pulley of the dragster. So this will go in, and we'll bend it around to the desired radius, and go from there.
Good deal. Now you need to do it all over again.
Yeah.
The furnace was running too.
I'm not doing it again.
Come on, just do it all. Just do the whole thing right, like what you said. Just do it all over again. You practice. Now you're ready.
No, it's better with the bloopers, I think.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Last you saw I was at 150. Haven't gotten that far. I'm at 220 now. Gonna keep going. Next is 320, and I'll finish with 600. Ready for buff.
What you doing?
This is 600 wet. Started buffing it already, real quick, and we realized the limit of our buffing skills is when I slip off and I hit the nut here and scratch it all up. So I did that and I sanded it back out, the little mistake, and we've now put some bumpers, I guess, to prevent that. And I'll go back to buffing. This is only the first wheel. It's going to get shinier from here. But I couldn't resist taking a look at what it might look like going down the track.
Time to take this polished piece of aluminum and anneal it and bend it into shape.
Yeah, I think that's going to be fine because you figure, you know, even though we're sitting here and we're only going to, you know, it'll anneal out to here.
I'm just worried about the plastic
Right,
tape.
with the soot. Right?
Yep.
I'm the only one with apprehensions, I guess.
No.
Yeah, look at this. This went beautiful, so this is gonna go beautiful. Can I get one more?
What we're doing here is just running the oxyacetylene torch with just acetylene. And what that does is deposit soot on the aluminum. And we can use the soot as an indicator as to how hot we get the aluminum when we use a torch to burn the soot off. Next step is to use the hand torch to burn the soot off. And when the soot is burned off and the metal is clear again, the aluminum should be at the correct temperature to be annealed.
You got the water?
You've got the water.
And maybe as
Rag.
you go, I'd just be curious to see what temperature it goes to.
Where is it?
It's right there in the corner. Okay.
120, about 170, 203, 250. You're kind of all over. 400.
I'll get you that. Real wet. Real wet. There goes that. It melts.
Melts a rag.
Yeah, we need a real wet. Real wet. Okay, so let's measure back out. We should still have our marks here, which we do. We had 2 inches from here And the only other measurement that mattered was this center line.
Oops.
That's how we position it in there. Oh, that was that line.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Wait a minute.
Not to put a big scratch at that.
You're really not waiting.
It didn't scratch it very much.
I didn't scratch it very much.
All right, that's close enough. We got 2 inches of leeway. Try again. Now you probably got a better eye than me on it right now.
Keep going, 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 keep going. I'd stop right there and we'll talk about it.
Okay, let's go again.
All right. More. All right.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me get on the other side of you.
There we go. Oops, that.
Yeah, it kinked right there, right at the end of the nail.
That's fine. I wouldn't call that a kink.
It's not a kink, but it goes.
I wouldn't call that a kink.
It's not a kink, but it goes.
I'm absolutely happy with the way that went.
The belt guard is bent. The mounting plate is complete. Now to build the structure that will connect the two.
Meantime, I started thinking up how I'm going to work on the bar stock. This is going to be laid on this plate, and this will connect the plate to our blower plate. I wanted this all to flow in nice, and I figured the best way to do that was cut this in half, and that way it'll lay on this plate nice, and when I weld it and I grind it, it'll be smooth and look like one piece. So I'm thinking of how to mill this in half, and so far I got this. And what I'm thinking of is I'm gonna drill a hole, half-inch hole, half-inch rod, half-inch hole in there to hold this rod, and then I'm going to split it and use that to mill this in half. It's kind of a raw idea right now. So this is what came of the 2x4 with the C-clamp on it. This is the second attempt at that. It turned into oak because the pine split right away. But basically, what I got here is 3 inches covered with steel. The half-inch rod slips right into the bottom part, and you could just put it to the end flush. Get your 3 inches. Then you put this top part on, which was drilled 1 drill size smaller so that it would actually clamp it down. So then the idea is, once it's clamped, I'll use this as my guide to mill out half the rod. Once half the rod is milled out, filed, I can set it down on that plate, and we'll get the desired effect, I guess, which is to flow into the plate. Okay. So, 4 struts made. This is the last strut. So I'm going to show the process I've been using to make these ones. First things first is I just made a simple template out of some steel. That's about the shape we're looking for. You can see each of them has a different amount of rise, and this one will be like this. Actually like this. Anyway, so I've been thinking about how I'm going to do it. I think the first thing I'll do is I'll cut my groove in, 3-inch groove. So I made this jig to help in doing that. So the rod goes in right to the end. Okay, so once it's in the jig, it holds it out to 3 inches that I want to make the groove. And it also has these steel stops to show me where I can grind it to get my D shape. So I just put in the vise. Start with the vertical cut. Ready? Yep. Okay, this part is not fun. I've got to cool it as I go because it starts to burn this wood. Okay, now that I rough it out with the stone, I take a coarse file and I finish it up. Finish the corner with the hacksaw again. Okay. So you can see for a rough pass it's pretty good D. I do finish it up a little freehand, and this isn't, you know, the jig and the grinder and the file obviously isn't the only way to do this, but this is what we had and it's working pretty good. We're getting consistent results for all of them. So that's it. So I finished up the last strut rod. Again, these are the finished products, buffed. I just wanted to show what it looks like after filing. That's all hand file. And then what I do is I use sandpaper, 80, 150, 220, 320, and then I move on to the wet sandpaper. And it ends up with a pretty good shine before I take it to the buffer. And then this is what we end up with the final product. Is louder than steel, isn't it? Well, I think I'm going to let it cool after that one. Because I got one more to go and I don't want to rush. Done. Wow. think I got a radius this one the same as that one. This is a monotonous task, not for the faint of heart. Smoothing out these welds, going for the, I don't know what look that is, the smooth look.
Alright, next step.
Next step is 80 grit, which is an important step. To get all these file marks out in 80 before moving on is very important, because once you move on and you left a file mark, you gotta go back. So the filing and the 80 are probably the two most important steps to a good result. So I take the most time there.
It's not done yet, but we got some polishing. And here is the project we've been working on. My son has done this. He's a fantastic craftsman. He was unable to finish the polishing before he left, so I'll take care of that.
Start at 320 dry, 400 wet, 600 wet, 1000, and then Mother's aluminum polish and lots of elbow grease.
I know this was a long one, but I hope it was worthwhile. I hope the content makes up for the length. I think it came out really nice. That's a pretty good shine. It's nice and simple, and it looks like it belongs there. It doesn't look like it's added on. That's what I like about it.
If you found this video informative or helpful, please click the thumbs up in the lower right corner of the YouTube viewer. Think about subscribing. If you click the little bell icon, you will be notified of new video posts. Thank you.